malakas, pumapagaspas.
Patuloy ang paghahatid serbisyo publiko ng Radyo Agila hanggang hating gabi. Alas 7, si Doc Erwin Torres sa Basta Natural. Alas 8 hanggang alas 9, ang salit-salitang programa na Gitara kapag Lunes at Martes, Legally Yours ng Miyerkules, Wedja Minute ng Webes, at Kalinangang Filipino ng Biyernes. Susundan ng religious programs na makapaghahatid ng inspirasyon at gabay sa pamumuhay. At dahil hindi natutulog ang balita, tuloy-tuloy ang paghahatid ng mga kaganapan sa kapaligiran. Kasama sina Nildo Pable, Ed Castañeda at ang mga Agila correspondent sa Eagle Night Watch. Laging nagmamasi, laging nagbabantay. Mga programang hatid ay kaalaman, kasiyahan, inspirasyon, panatag na kaisipan para sa katotohanan. Tatak, Radyo Agila. Responde sa radyo. Responde sa radyo. Alas 4 hanggang alas 5:30 ng hapon. Mapapakinggan sa Radyo Agila, DZEC 1062 sa AM band. At mapapanood via Facebook, YouTube live stream at sa Net25 online platforms. Responde sa radyo. Responde sa radyo.
Mga bagong kaalaman sa siyensya at teknolohiya. Alamin sa programang Pinoy Scientist. Tuwing linggo, alas 5 ng hapon hanggang alas 6 ng gabi. Pinoy Scientist. KBP Best Science and Technology Radio Program. Pinoy Scientist. Dito sa Radyo Agila.
Ang oras na ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Cable Link, your link to a world-class entertainment.
So, magandang hapon po sa lahat ng mga tagapakinig ng Pinoy Scientist. Ako po ang inyong Pinoy Scientist, Dr. Casper, lalo-lalo na sa mga nanonood ng mga kabarangay natin. Ito po ay ang unang episode ng Lakbay Kinabukasan, ang kauna-unahang programa sa radyo dito po sa Pilipinas na dedikado sa futures thinking. Dito po sa ating special na segment ng linggo na ito, pag-uusapan natin po ang mga emerging trends at mga ideya na maghuhubog sa ating kinabukasan. At kasama ko po at makikita na po natin ngayon sa screen ang ating co-host na si Ginoo o si si Professor Sherman Ortega Cruz, UNESCO Chair on Anticipatory Governance and Regenerative Cities. Magandang hapon, Professor Sherman.
Magandang hapon, Castor. At ako'y nagagalak at ngayon maumpisahan natin this week, usapin natin tungkol sa Lakbay Kinabukasan. I really look forward to it. Good afternoon.
Yes, at makikita na rin po natin si Mr. Ibon Zugasti. Hello, Ibon? Or how do we pronounce your name? Ibon or how do you call it, Bonnie?
Hello, good morning from Spain, Dr. Deocaris, Sherman. My name is Ibon Zugasti, yes.
Zugasti.
Yes, Ibon.
Right, but it sounds Italian. Okay, but Ibon, it's a Filipino term for bird. Ibon.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
happy to hear that.
Okay, so during the first part of our segment, I'll just get to introduce Professor Sherman to the rest of the listeners. Okay, si Professor Sherman po ay isang Pinoy futurist. Hindi po siya manghuhula, hindi rin po siya astrologer. Okay? Isa po siyang alagad ng siyensya. Kaya po siya ay nandito sa Pinoy Scientist. So, Professor Sherman, madaming nagtataka sa programa natin, bakit tayo bigla naging interesado sa paglalakbay sa kinabukasan?
Oo, maraming mga kailangan natin pag-usapan dito kasi alam naman natin na simula nung tayo elementarya pa, Pinag-uusapan
Mhm.
natin lagi ang nakaraan, ano, or yung tinatawag nating history. At marami tayong natututunan dito at binabase natin ang ating mga natututunan, ano, sa nakaraan at nagkakaroon tayo ng galing paraan ang mga pangyayari ngayon. Ngayon, sa futures thinking, ang pag-aaralan natin dito ay yung kinabukasan. Ano nga ba ito? Bakit ba ito importante na kailangan din natin siyang pag-aralan kagaya ng
Mhm.
pag-aaral natin sa nakaraan? At alam naman natin na pag ang futures thinking, ito ay usapin tungkol sa hinaharap. At lahat naman tayo ay patungo doon, importante lamang talaga, no, na malaman at mapag-aralan natin ito para magkaroon tayo ng kapabilidad na magamit ito sa iba't ibang pamamaraan kagaya ng decision making, strategy
Okay.
development, at
Mhm.
pagpaplano.
Okay. Kaso, Professor Sherman, ang daming problema ng ating bayan ngayon. May traffic, may baha, inflation, unemployment. Paano ba natin mapapaniwala ang ordinaryong Pilipino sa futures thinking na kung saan minsan o madalas hirap silang abutin ang sweldo sa katapusan? For them, the end of the month is their future.
Yes, oo, tama 'yun. Actually, yung mga nangyayari ngayon, ay isa rin
Mhm.
itong konsepto ng kinabukasan, ano, nung unang panahon. At maaari nating, hindi ito pinili or sabihin nating naging epekto ito, no, naging resulta ito ng mga pangyayari noon. At maaari nating sabihin na yung ating kinahihinatnan sa ngayon ay hindi natin gusto. Like for example sa usaping inflation among other
Mhm.
things, ito nung unang panahon ay isa itong kinabukasan eh. Pero pag pinag-iisipan natin ito at tinatanong ang ating mga sarili, ganito ba ang gusto natin ngayon? At kung sabihin nating may magagawa pa tayo at we deserve something better, kailangan natin yung pag-isipan at pagplanuhan at tanungin ang ating mga sarili kung ano ba talaga ang gusto natin, ano, na
That's
kinabukasan.
right.
At kailangan alam natin yon at maliwanagan na mabuti para mangyari ito.
Your, this is my last question before I introduce our guest, Ibon.
Yes.
Okay, ikaw ay isang UNESCO Chair on Anticipatory Governance and Regenerative Cities. So paano mo ginagawa ang futures thinking para buuin at mas pasaayos ang mga makabagong lungsod?
Oo, no, importante dito na magkaroon tayo ng tinatawag na futures literacy. Ang rason
Mhm.
kung bakit merong UNESCO Chair ngayon sa Pilipinas at ganun na din ano sa iba't ibang parte ng mundo. May mga UNESCO Chair din sila on Anticipatory Governance at Future Studies. Ang intention dito ay para palawakin at itaas ang awareness at edukasyon patungkol sa kinabukasan. Kagaya nga ng sinabi ko, lalo na sa pagplaplano sa mga bagay-bagay patungkol sa syudad,
Mhm.
ay ginagamit natin ang datos, ang data, ang news headline, ang mga researches at among other things. At most of them ito ay mga datos na galing sa eksperyensya natin sa nakaraan. At dito sa futures literacy or anticipatory governance ay ini-emphasize niya ang importansya ng kinabukasan at gamitin ito para isang kapabilidad para may mapanghawakan tayo kung ano pwede nating gawin sa kinabukasan at gawin ito sa pagplaplano ngayon lalo na sa ating mga syudad.
Follow-up questions? Very serious question, okay?
Sure.
What are the perks of a UNESCO
The perks.
Chair?
What are the perks of futures thinking? Una
Yes,
is,
the UNESCO
alam mo,
Chair, okay?
the perks of the UNESCO Chair.
Yes.
Yes, of course. It's not really monetarily. It's really
Mhm.
like the perk is that, I think the privilege and the prestige of being the first UNESCO chair in the
Yes.
Philippines. In the history of the country, I think that is the perk. That I was the first country to be designated and appointed as a UNESCO Chair in future studies.
I hope the UNESCO will give you a jacket. Anyway.
I'm looking forward to that, right?
Okay, dito po sa ating pilot episode, shout out muna, Angela Redaha. Okay, thank you very much for your message. This is sa ating Facebook page. And Miss Marisa Genavia Natividad, there's somebody watching from Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam, quite interested in the field of futures thinking. And thank you very much. Angela Redaha is taga Malolos, Bulacan. He's taga at masugid na tagapakinig ng Pinoy Scientist. Hello, Dexter Mahilom is also watching. He's our assistant producer. Okay, sa ating pilot episode na ito, tatalakayin natin ang artificial intelligence and artificial general intelligence. These are first time I've heard of the term general intelligence, artificial general intelligence. These are very, very hot topics at sana maliwanagan tayo at mapakas at sa pagkikipagtalaktakan sa ating nangungunang futurist ng mundo, si Mr. Ibon Zugasti. Ibon, I will just give an introduction. Okay, Ibon Zugasti is the managing and partner and director of Prospecticor, European Institute for Future Studies, Deputy Director of the Millennium Project Goal, Futures Think Tank, International Project Manager of LKS Cooperative Management Consulting Division of Mondragon. Oh, sounds familiar. Member of the Board of Foresight of Europe Network and Associate Fellow of the World Academy of Arts and Science. So, Ibon is also a member of the Prepare Sustainability Network and is named Forbes Top 40 Leading Foresight Expert. And Sherman, you're number 1 in the Philippines. I know that. So, Ibon, sounds like you're basically saving the planet one foresight session at a time. That's a pretty interesting job you got. Welcome to Pinoy Scientist. Tell me what you are doing in this sequelae or series of organizations as a foresight thinker.
So again, Dr. Deocaris, thank you very much for this invitation. It's a great pleasure to be here talking about futures thinking and futures research with colleagues and friends. And first of all, I would like to say that I'm a colleague of Sherman Cruz. We are both at the Millennium Project. The Millennium Project is today probably the largest futures research network in the world. With more than 70 nodes worldwide. Sherman is the head of the Philippines node, and I'm the head of the Spain node. And so we are putting together our local views with what we call the global challenges that the world is facing right now, and also how we can address those challenges, those long-term challenges, so that we can improve decision-making and improve at the end of the day the quality of life of human citizens.
So malalaman natin mamaya epekto ng AI. We're going to discuss about artificial intelligence and artificial general intelligence and how we are going to interface it with policy, with society, and a lot of things, especially the lives of every Filipino and everybody in this world. So mga kaparangay, maganda po tayo sa isang makabaluhang talakayan mamaya at lalakbay natin ang kinabukasan. Ang oras po natin ngayon ay 12 minuto makalipas sa 5 ng hapon, Philippine Standard Time. Magbabalik po ang Pinoy Scientist.
EBC, Eagle Broadcasting Corporation. Ito ang Radyo Agila.
This time check is brought to you by BioQuick, high-quality products for hospitals and labs with 19 years of dedicated service to the community. They have become your trusted partner for all things medical.
Checkpoint 1062 sa presinto may takas, pero sa checkpoint walang alpas. Checkpoint 1062, mga balitang pumapagaspas. Sa checkpoint 1062, walang alpas. Tuwing linggo, alas 7 ng gabi. Dito na sa Radyo Agila.
Welcome to Pinoy Scientist. Tayo po nagbabalik dito lang po sa Lakbayang Kinabukasan ng Pinoy Scientist, Radyo Agila, DZEC 1062. Sa lang mga ka-tune in pa lang, tayo po napapakinggan dito sa DZEC 1062 AM and we're heard nationwide sa iba't ibang stasyon ng Radyo Agila at we're also being streamed live on the Facebook page of Radyo Agila and Pinoy Scientist of Radyo Agila. Now, joining me is Professor Sherman Cruz, Ortega Cruz. Isa po siyang #1 Forbes. I think there's a Forbes still top. You're the top one, I believe that. There's Forbes top futurist of the Philippines. I think the one and only Pinoy futurist. And we're joined by Mr. Ibon of the Zugasti, our resource person. So, Professor Sherman, I'll give the floor to ask the first question or introductory question to Ibon.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Castor. Yes, Ibon, we can. I would like us to, to have a conversation about some foundation, basic things about artificial intelligence. It's been everywhere. Everybody's actually talking about it. In fact, in the Philippines, we're currently working on some legislations, particularly artificial intelligence. Can you explain to us, some basic things about what exactly is artificial intelligence and what is the difference between artificial intelligence and artificial general intelligence?
Sure, that's a right question because I think in many cases we are talking about things that we don't know what we are talking about. And we tend to speak on artificial intelligence in general in let's say negative terms. So this is something we also want to somehow break in the Millennium Project. We think, of course, AI, like many other technologies, they have their good side and their not so good side. So it's a matter of how we can deal with it, how we can address those challenges and work with these technologies in the best way for human beings. So when we are talking about AI, we need to be aware that this is probably one of the most disruptive technologies, if not the most disruptive technologies we have now in our hands as human beings. Because we see, and especially the experts through the research we've been doing in the last few years, what they tell us is that AI could really become a breakthrough in human development. We are talking about a technology that could really change our lives in many senses, in our working lives, in our daily lives, and in many aspects of this AI. But what we are not aware so much in many cases is that AI, like many other technologies, are evolving. And when we are talking about disruptive technologies, means that the pace of change of these technologies is becoming faster than we thought in the past. So with AI, I would summarize in a very short way that right now what we have is what we call narrow AI. What is basically that humans, we are telling robots and machines and AI-driven technologies what they need to do, what they have to do. So it's a human-driven technology. It's us, it's humans who are telling the robots, telling the technology what they need to do, and we are of course using algorithms and let's say orders that we write for these machines to do what they have to do. So according to experts, there could be two main other steps for these technologies. As we are talking about the disruptive technologies and the level of change is becoming so fast. What we are seeing is that in around 5 to 10 years, but nobody is clear about this, we could jump into the next step of this technology to a level of what experts call artificial general intelligence. So it would go from artificial narrow intelligence into the next level, that is artificial general intelligence. In this level, what we will see is that the AI already has some stronger capacities. This is why many times experts call it a strong AI or artificial general intelligence. What we can expect from AGI to be able to do when it's already AGI. Some of the examples we usually mention is, for instance, it can address novel problems without pre-programming, like artificial narrow intelligence needs. It can initiate searches for information worldwide. It can use sensors and the Internet of Things to learn on its own. It can even make phone calls and interview people. It could make logical deductions and reason similar to humans. This is why we say that the AGI could be similar to human brain. It could learn from experience and reinforcement without the need for a massive database to learn a task like artificial narrow intelligence needs. And it could rewrite or edit its code to be more intelligent continually. So it gets smarter and smarter faster than humans. So this is where we're talking about a game changer of a real disruptive technology, where it could even be or have the capacity of a human being. And last but not least, this would be not the end of the story. What the experts say is that there is a third level or third step that could be what we call artificial superintelligence. And artificial superintelligence, in a nutshell, means that it would be a technology that could have higher capacities than human beings. So right now, considering this whole technological evolution, what we are doing in the Millennium Project is to try to learn how this could happen, because to be honest, nobody knows, even the best experts don't really know how this is going to happen and exactly when. But we find that comparing to other technologies, it's time now to start what we call designing the transition from these different three steps, so that we can get the best of this technological evolution.
Yes, but it's good that you mentioned about, the evolutionary aspect of artificial intelligence, because recently, like 2 weeks ago, I had a conversation with a scientist as well about AGIs, and then one of the questions that he had was like, we haven't actually started and begun, setting up artificial intelligence yet, at the systems level. And now we want to jump into the conversation about AGI, and then he was proposing about we need to focus on how to maximize, the capability and the capacity of narrow artificial intelligence. But then, of course, as we try to attempt to maximize the capability of narrow AI now, for example, at the systems level, because governmental institution and corporates has a lot of processes that they need to deal with to facilitate data, was that he was of the opinion that we must focus on how to maximize narrow AIs. But then the point that you are making here is that the evolving aspect of artificial intelligence is pretty quite fast, right?
Sherman, can I give
Yes.
a little comment? So are you talking to a fellow futurist? Because I'm seeing a narrow futurist and a long-range futurist.
Yes. Yes, right.
Because
Yeah.
I would really be impressed. Well, my impression is with what Ibon said is we really have, as a futurist, we really need to think beyond what we have now. So if we start talking about, today is the time we should start already talking about artificial general intelligence. And when Yvonne said it's 5 to 10 years, it's very soon. Some people wouldn't even be finishing with their master's degree in the Philippines if they enroll now in 5 years.
Yes. Yeah, that's the issue. And I mean, of course, first of all, it's a very complex issue, and this is why futures thinking and futures research makes sense because we don't know what is going to happen,
Mm-mm.
but we know this is a relevant and high priority issue. Again, I would like to highlight that this evolution has very positive impacts because we will be able to use, imagine, AGI to solve very important issues in life that we haven't solved until now, like fighting cancer. Diseases like cancer that we have not been able to solve that issue. Or imagine we still have so many people who is dying because of traffic accidents. And we know we are jumping into the what we call the autonomous car, but this autonomous car is very complex and it's a technology that is not done yet. So for sure, AGI and the evolution of AI would be enablers to improve those other challenges that we are facing in health issues, in mobility, and in so many aspects of life. But on the other hand, as I said, it could also become, imagine, technology that has the capacity of a human being, or even more. This could even become an existential risk in the other scenario, where if we don't address this in the right way, I mean, it could overcome our own capacities. So the question is, how do we design this transition? Because you mentioned we were talking about regulation, but traditionally, as we know, what lawyers do, what politicians with regulators do, it's regulate what has happened in the past. So we still don't have the capacity, and the legal system is not ready to regulate something in the future, because we know how regulation works. It's about facts and about real things that have happened in the past. So this is a big challenge for also for the regulatory framework and for policymakers, how to regulate something that could come in the future, probably sooner than we thought, and we are talking about 5 to 10 years. So we know policy making and regulations, they take a lot of time. So it's not something that we decide today that will come into force next year, but it usually takes a lot of time. So this is why we want to start and bring these discussions to policymakers at the global level, not only at the regional, national level, but also at the UN level, so that we start acting today for a challenge that is coming in 5 to 10 years, so that we can get the best of it. We can get the best benefits of this big disruption. And there, as Sherman mentioned, I think scientists and the science world has a big say on this, because we can use futures thinking on improving the conversations between the science and the technology world with the regulators and the policymakers. We need to think out of the box somehow for the first time in life, and try to find innovative ways to improve this and upgrade these conversations so that we can design the best transition that we can do.
Just a clarification again between AI, narrow AI, and AGI. AGI, well, is more intelligent than AI. Does it possess sentience, emotion? What kind of things does it have that the narrow AI doesn't have?
Yes, I would say that the AGI wouldn't, and of course, narrow neither, have emotions, because emotions, this is something more linked to human beings. So there is no, what we say, consciousness in this technology. So the experts say that this is something AGI will not reach, but of course, they will. I mean, before that, they will. The AGI will have the capacity to learn from its own and make its own decisions. even without having emotions. This is where we are reaching let's say a level of evolution that we have never seen, where a technology on its own will be able to make its own decisions even without having emotions. Supposedly learning from what has happened in the past and seeing how they can make those decisions for a later time. Yeah.
Yeah, given Castor also asked the question about emotion, and then you mentioned about the issue of safety. Should AGI have rights? If we reach that point wherein AI gain that human level intelligence, should they have rights?
This is a big question, and if I'm not wrong, some regulators and some parliaments, like South Korea, they were already discussing this, looking into the future. So, as you said, should these future AGIs have rights? This is something that we need to think about. I think that in the longer term view, we should somehow think about a new kind of set of rights at global level. We have the human rights that the UN approved not so long. If we see how long the human evolution has been, and if we see that human rights were approved in the 20th century, I mean, it has been not so long. So, in my opinion, we will need to rewrite these human rights to consider new beings that will be with us, that will interact with us, and at the same time that we are researching how on what will happen with the consciousness of these new beings, let's say.
I think you guys are superstars. You're gonna be the superstars of tomorrow. This is a question, Ibon. You mentioned about 5 to 10 years AGI might come out.
Yes.
What are the signals and trends that you are looking at? What are the developments that you're seeing that makes the futurists feel that it's going to emerge in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, as it's important to clarify that futurists, we are usually not people who know about everything. We are not experts in everything. We could be experts in energy. We could be experts in mobility. We could be experts in social aspects. But as other experts, we are mainly people with a lot of experience in applying methods in a discipline that is called futures thinking. So we are, in this case, we are not so much the experts on AI, but we use futures research methodologies and techniques to get the best knowledge from the experts. So what we did, for instance, in this research on the transition from narrow AI into future artificial general intelligence is to use a method that we usually use in futures research, that is the Delphi method, to get the knowledge from the experts about what could happen. In this concrete case, before doing this Delphi method, that is a very well-known futures research method, we developed some in-depth interviews with the top 50 experts on AI in the world, including very top people like Elon Musk or the heads of the big corporations, not only in the U.S., also in Europe, in Asia, all over the world. China, of course, we know China could be probably the top country right now in AI development, and there's this big competition with the U.S., as we all know. So what we had first in these interviews was talking about this transition. What should we ask the experts in the Delphi survey? This was the let's say the methodological approach. We asked them what should be, for instance, as you ask, the signals, the trends that we should consider to then check in a Delphi survey worldwide what should be done by regulators to address this transition. So we have these 50 in-depth interviews, and we have a larger Delphi survey with more than 200 experts worldwide, where we were going in depth into these concrete regulations that and measures that we should have in mind for this new governance. And then we came up with some recommendations that were the beginning for the scenarios, the long-term scenarios that we are designing right now. We are now completing the process. And the idea is that we have some scenarios that could help us have a conversation with policymakers and leaders so that they can understand what would happen in one scenario and what would happen in the other alternative scenarios, so that we can help them design this transition and this whole governance of the new time we are going to get in 5-10 years. So this is how we are using future research to address a very complex issue that we cannot let's say understand in the traditional way.
I'll have one question before we end this segment, and then we come to the next segment.
Sure.
Okay. You mentioned about artificial super intelligence. It's really the first time I've heard about it. First time I heard about AGI as well. We often face a shortage of the type of leaders who get elected by people. It, do you see a future where artificial super intelligence can become president? And if that person, if artificial super intelligent entity becomes a president, what kind of personality will you choose? Albert Einstein, Elon Musk, or Rafael Nadal? But before you answer that, before you answer that, let's pause for a few reminders from our station. Magbabalik po ang Pinoy Scientist. Ang oras po natin ngayon ay 36 na minuto. Makalipas ang ikalaban ng hapon Philippine Standard Time. Ibon, you should answer that. Okay, and then I'll give you a choice. You can also have Julio Iglesias in your choice.
EBC, Eagle Broadcasting Corporation. Ito ang Radyo Agila.
Tayo na sa EO. Tayo'y magpatingin. Tayo na sa EO. Sila'y eksperto at magagaling. Tayo na sa EO. Inyong mata ang mahalin. EO Executive Optical. Ang practical. EO Executive Optical. Ito'y practical.
EO Executive Optical. For expert eye care, come to EO Executive Optical. EO Executive Optical. Love your eyes.
So, nagbabalik po tayo sa Pinoy Scientist. Nasa huling segment na po tayo ngayon. Ang oras natin ay 37 minuto. We have around 25 minutes to discuss about AGI. But before we left, we left for a brief message. Who do you think, Ibon, would like to be the president? A personality of a president, an AGI or artificial super intelligence. Would you like an Albert Einstein, an Elon Musk, or a Spanish sports superstar? And is it possible in the future?
Yes, that's the first question. Could this become possible? You were saying, though the question said with artificial superintelligence, but in the Millennium Project, in our research, we are already thinking if this could happen with artificial general intelligence. So even before super, because many times when we speak about super, we think about Terminator and those approaches, and this is why we thought it's good to differentiate what is general to what is super. Super, it's a black box. I mean, we don't really know what could happen. So this is why we think it's better to focus on general, on artificial general intelligence. But let me tell you, even on general intelligence, we already have one of the scenarios that speaks about having maybe a president or a prime minister who could be an AI. So AGI, who is a prime minister or who is a decision maker. And how comes? Because if we are talking about improving decision making, and if we say that AGI in the best scenario will help improve decision making, and if being or becoming a president or a prime minister is about doing making the right decisions, then we can think, why not? Why AGI could not become a prime minister or a president? Then the question is, how do you see this AGI? Do you see it closer to Elon Musk or to Rafael Nadal or to Albert Einstein? So of course I would love it to be science based, so that this decision making AI is really based on research and science, like Albert Einstein. And of course I'm a fellow at the World Academy of Arts and Science that was somehow created by Albert Einstein and Robert Oppenheimer and some other folks, and we hope this will be closer to this. But of course, life is not only science, so we need also passion, we need entrepreneurship, we need being alive and being happy. So I'm sure it will have a combination of other profiles, probably like Rafael Nadal or Elon Musk or other big innovators. But the point is how we design this AGI to be better than what we have today. Because we still need to have human beings, and we will keep doing our jobs. So let's use this AGI for those jobs where we are not the best, and let's find how we can improve the capacities of human beings to still be relevant in this world.
I think there's no corruption. Chairman.
In fact, even with generative AI that we have right now, like for example, ChatGPT, right? Like, so if you ask them, they can definitely take a persona. Like if you wish to talk to them, and can you respond to me like the way Rafael Nadal speaks or responds to you? So, ChatGPT can actually, in fact, do that. Yeah. Even, for example, like you have a question, can you respond like President Ferdinand Marcos or Jose Rizal or the Pope or something like that? They can definitely like respond to you with that kind of persona.
No, for sure, and this is a matter of what we know how it works in ChatGPT. So it's how we have programmed, how we have done the programmation of that technology. It's determining and it's defining what we are going to get. So it's the same with the president of a prime minister. How we are going to integrate not only good decision making without corruption, without wars, without bad things, but also how we are going to integrate global ethics on this decision making technology, so that it can be much better than what we have today, because we need to remember that today we have a lot of wars, we have a lot of global organized crime, we have a lot of nonsense in global decision making. So we want the new system to be better than what we have today, not worse.
Just one question, because we're now in the second segment, right? And then I would like to ask you more about the State of the Future Index or report, the latest SOFI report. Like, has
Sure.
this, since we're talking about the ethical aspects of AGI, has that report, discussed or addressed, revealed some ethical concerns? What
Yes,
are these ethical concerns?
yes. First of all, let me maybe explain the audience what is the state of the future.
Yes, please.
Yes, this is the main report that the Millennium Project is publishing now every 2 or 3 years. It's a very comprehensive report, including the review of what we call the 15 global challenges. So these 15 global challenges are how we understand that the world is evolving and how we should deal with these big issues that we're talking about. I'm referring to things like access to resources, or as you mentioned, global ethics, also conflicts and wars, and development of science and technology, climate change, of course, and sustainable development, rich-poor gaps, and so on. So what we do in the Millennium Project is every time we launch the report, this time it's the latest version, the 20.0 version. We do a whole review of those 15 challenges, including, as you were asking, the one on global ethics, where we analyze what is happening in terms of global ethics. What we see as a whole is that humanity is evolving in a positive way. So we have more aspects and challenges where we are doing better today and in the future than we were doing in the past. So there are more elements where we are improving. But it's true that those areas where we are not improving, especially, for instance, related to sustainable development or also to democracies, where we saw in the last few years that the democratic regimes are a little bit going down worldwide. So those are very serious issues, and we need to deal them sooner than later. So this is somehow how we are having some trend analysis, but also early warning signals for our decision makers to see. Please be aware that some things in democracies or in sustainable development, climate change are not doing well, even if economic growth is still there and so on. So let's focus on those and let's try to improve our decision making. And we do that in a global pictures. So understanding the world as a whole, but also at regional level, because there are, of course, big differences between regions. I mean, it's not the same addressing the water issue from the Norway perspective or from the Mozambique perspective. So we are trying to also to get the best knowledge from our nodes worldwide to see what is the regional perspective on those 15 global challenges, including global ethics, of course.
I'm curious about the Millennium Project. Do you have any case studies on how you demonstrated the value of foresight in policymaking in other countries?
Yes, this is we've always, and Sherman knows, we've always been discussing this, how we can prove the differentiate value of futures research and future studies compared to traditional planning, where, because many policymakers, let me tell you this, that they tell us, I mean, if there is such an uncertainty, if there is such a big change, why should we plan for a longer term when we don't know what's going to happen? So the understanding of futures research is the opposite. Is the more uncertainty we have, the more we don't know what's going to happen, the more we need to plan the longer term. And the whole idea is to do it with an idea that there is no only one future, but there could be different futures, different scenarios in the future. So how we can show that doing in this way or planning in this way could be better than doing it in the short-term approach? Well, we see that first of all, if we think short, then we're going to miss a lot of things. Like probably if we only plan to the next year, we're not going to discuss about AGI. We're only going to discuss about narrow AI. So we need to be aware, first of all, what we are missing. And then the performance, I think we have very good examples worldwide of countries, regions, and cities even that have had better performance than others based on the way of thinking and planning. We have very visionary countries. We like very much the example, for instance, of South Korea. South Korea 60, 70 years ago was a poorer country, and they had a huge technological development. And we know that some futurists like Herman Kahn were very, very influential in this longer-term view. The same could be said for Finland, for instance. Many people are not aware today, but Finland was a poor country 50, 60, 70 years ago. It was not like Norway or Denmark. It was a poorer country. And they really made a big change based on a new approach to education and focusing on getting a very advanced education system. And we know today also that futures thinking and research futures research is a core element of the decision making in Finland. I call always Finland the Disneyland of futures research, where they have a committee of the future in the parliament. They have a futures research office in the prime minister office. They have a great academia with the futures research network in Finland. They have big conferences. They connect with the private sector, with the corporations in Finland. So there, with these examples, we can show that futures research and futures decision making make a difference compared to traditional planning.
Chairman, you have questions?
Yeah, sorry, my dog are barking, so that's why I refrain to unmute myself. Yeah, and of course, another question is that given that you mentioned about this AGI stuff, right, like emerging, would this as well affect the way we do foresight and futures thinking in the process, Ibon?
Yes, it does, in my opinion. Of course, and this is a big challenge for us, for futurists, how we are going to apply not only narrow or generative AI, but artificial general intelligence in the future. Because, for instance, when we are doing Delphi research, or when we are doing a futures workshop with humans, why don't we include an AI in that discussion? Like we are thinking now to have, like, for instance, corporate boards where we will have members who are humans and members who will be robots. And the whole idea behind that is that these AIs or these robots, they can learn from what the rest of humans are thinking, and they can already establish their own criteria for decision making. So that could be similar also in future research, where we can see in each of the different methods how we can apply AI. And I take this opportunity also to announce that we are reviewing our own set of methods at the Millennium Project. We have what we call the future research methodologies. The latest version is 3.0. And we are planning to come to a new version where we want to also research one by one each method to see how we can integrate new approaches like AI or AGI into improving these methods and having a more robot-based contribution to what humans we are doing already. Yeah. So I think
Actually,
there will be good contributions from AI. Yeah.
actually, that's a good question, Sherman. I did that, Ibon. I wanted to see how the future of Philippine education would look like. So I got this ethics review board. So I
Yes.
wanted to get rid of the ethics clearance and ask ChatGPT, uh, Socrates, Perplexity, the different AI, and they came up with somehow different answers based because they are programmed differently and they use different models. So that was it came up with an interesting um, output. And I did some little Jacquard similarity index. So you can somehow first parse out which AI tool would think this way and which AI tool would think that way. That could really be an interesting approach, I think, also for futures thinking.
Yes, yes, and you are totally right because when we use ChatGPT or narrow artificial intelligence tools right now, I remember some colleagues they were calling it a parrot because it's like a parrot bird that repeats what has happened in the past. And it's sometimes it's senseless. It's not really a value answer. But on the other hand, what we have to be aware is that in the last, for instance, in a very small period of time, like 1 year, 1.5 years, this chat GPT has evolved so fast. What we saw at the beginning and what we can see now and what we are going to see probably at the end of this year, it's totally different and it's improving a lot. So this means that in 5 to 10 years, we could have something closer to a human brain from this AI than what we can see today. That is probably still closer to a parrot bird. So of course, what we have today it's not it doesn't have the quality we need to improve our decision making. Yes.
Okay, we can have one more question from Sherman before we close the show. We have
Yeah,
only
yeah,
7 minutes
yeah.
left.
One
Sherman?
question just came up to me. Will there still be radios 10 years from now with the emergence of AGIs?
Yeah, that's the question. What we are seeing already today, I heard about some TV programs that were already done by some kind of AI or robots that are, for instance, trying to summarize the news in one day or news programs. And of course, I think and I hope what we have in the future is hybrid radio programs where we're combining great interviewers, human interviewers, with other participants that could be robot based or AI based that could have a great conversation. That's about it, to have a great conversations and to help others understand things a little bit better.
Yvonne, here's my last question. We're here to push the country and promote futures thinking. From your perspective, what steps can countries take so that they'll be able to institutionalize futures thinking, especially for countries like the Philippines and some Southeast Asian countries?
Sorry again, what they can do for what?
To institutionalize
Institutionalize
futures
futures thinking. Okay, that's a very good question, and I'm sure Sherman can also contribute to this. But we are starting from the concept of what we call anticipatory governance. So it's about how we can take futures thinking into decision making in the government. First of all, we need to jump from what traditionally we have understood as simple problems or even complex problems to what this manual on anticipatory governance called wicked problems. And when we're talking about wicked problems, we are talking about issues that are not easy to solve in a simplistic way, in a traditional way of planning. Like we are seeing today with this issue on artificial intelligence, or how we are seeing in issues related to international or organized crime and many other issues. So we need to first, I think many times we forget about that most of the people don't know about this. So we need to train and help decision makers understand how this futures thinking discipline works and how it could be applied to their work. And then once they are aware and they really understand what could be the value of this through capacity building, through futures workshops, through futures literacy, like Sherman is doing very well in the Philippines and many other places with this UNESCO Chair, with the UNESCO chairs all over the world. Once they understand what's about with this futures literacy approach, then we can start seeing how to integrate that in the day-to-day system of decision making. And of course, that's a complex problem. We need to see what is the best, because there is no solution that fits all. We need to see how these anticipatory governance models could best work, for instance, in the Philippines, or in Spain, or in France, or in Canada. There are very different models. We need to design a model a system that works for the case. And then, of course, to see, we are not going to see the results like it happened in South Korea or in Finland in 1 year, in 2 years. This will take a lot of time. Or Singapore. Singapore is a great example also. But we need to somehow institutionalize this process, not only in the government, in the executive, but also in the parliament, in the legislative body. There is a network, worldwide network now of committees of the future that are starting in different countries like Finland or like Uruguay or many other countries, and they actually have a gathering right now in Chile. Where they are telling each other what they are doing and trying to improve their system. But this is also part of the institutionalization of futures research and futures thinking in the public sector, not only in the government but also in the parliament. And this should take us to a better decision making in the medium and longer term, because otherwise we are not going to be able to address these longer term issues.
Thank you, Ibon. I think, Sherman, we have a lot of work to do. This program, I hope we can help institutionalize and popularize futures thinking. Thank you very much, Ibon. So, Sherman, do you have a last message before we close the show?
Yes, that was a good conversation. Importante po talagang napag-uusapan nito at nakikita naman natin ang siklaw ng artificial intelligence ay lumalago at definitely maraming oportunidad po dyan at marami ding maaaring komplikasyon na pwedeng mangyari kung hindi natin ito pag-aaralan.
At dyan po nagtatapos ang ating unang episode. Thank you very much, Ibon, and thank you very much, Sherman. And sa lahat ng mga nakikinig, maraming salamat po. Ito po ang unang episode ng Lakbay Kinabukasan. Sana po ay marami kayo napulot na aral at kalinawan tungkol sa artificial intelligence, futures thinking, artificial general intelligence, and even artificial super intelligence. Sa susunod po, ako po ang inyong kabarangay, Pinoy Scientist, nagsasabi ang kinabukasan ay nasa ating mga kamay. At tayo po ay kailangan huwag matakot mangarap at buuin ang ating kinabukasan. Magandang gabi po. Magkita-kita naman po tayo sa susunod na linggo dito lang po sa programa na kung saan ang sensya ay buhay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Casper. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Brought to you by BioQuick. High-quality products for hospitals and labs with 19 years of dedicated service to the community. They have become your trusted partner for all things medical.